Well, ladies and gentlemen, look like the Amber Guyger murder trial is in the hands of the jury. So, hopefully, in the coming days, we will find out what the verdict is. So, I was on there for a while, but I got off. They're not going to come up with a verdict today. That's highly doubtful, so I didn't hang in there on there. I just kind of got off of the video. So this came out on NBC News. Amber Guyger murder trial heads to jury after closing statements. Now, I listened to both sides, and, all I can say is her lawyers, they did so, in my opinion. Nobody is going to accept Amber Guyger storming in somebody's apartment. And she is so silly and so out of her mind that she can't recognize that she's not in the right apartment until after both of them has been shot. Oh, now all of a sudden you look around and realize you're in the wrong place. So, ex-Dallas police officer Amber Guyger was unreasonable when she mistakenly entered her neighbor's apartment, commando style, last year and shot him fatally. Yeah, she did. I just don't see how so many things were missed going up on the fourth floor. So many things. I mean, especially that red carpet that he had out in front of his door. I just don't understand how she missed so many things. So, thinking he was an intruder, prosecutors said Monday during closing arguments in her murder trial. A guilty verdict in this case does not mean you hate police. This has nothing to do with politics. Prosecutor Jason Fine told the jurors. But the defense argued to jurors that at that moment, Guyger truly believed she was acting in self-defense when she thought she was at her apartment, which is one floor directly below that, both in John's apartment. That's true, but I don't know what she was defending herself from, y'all. I mean, what was she afraid of? He was going to take his spoon for his ice cream and throw it at her? I mean, what self-defense? He didn't try to do anything to her. Unbelievable. In one of those cases where there are no winners, defense attorney Toby Shook told jurors, the evidence show it's just a tragedy. No, this is not just a tragedy. She said on the stand she intended to kill him. That's why she shot twice. The dueling arguments followed State District Judge Tammy Kemp instructing the jury that they can consider a charge of either murder or manslaughter after Guyger fatally shot John on September 6, 2018. Jurors began deliberations Monday afternoon. For jurors to find Guyger 31 guilty of murder, the state must have proven that she intentionally and knowingly caused the death of Jean. So what they're saying is before she entered the apartment, she had already determined she was going to kill him. That's what they're saying. The lesser charge of manslaughter requires jurors find she recklessly caused his death. Kemp also said jurors can consider Texas Stand Your Ground law, known as the Castle Doctrine, to decide whether Guyger was within her rights to use force. The law says that force, including deadly force, can be used to protect one's home or property. Well, the problem is that wasn't her home or her property. That was Bolton John's home and his property. Fine said it was absurd for Guyger to think she could use that defense since it wasn't actually her home. And I agree with that. Okay. This has to do with that defendant making unreasonable decisions that put her in that seat, Fine said, pointing towards Guyger, and Bo in the ground. Closing arguments began on day 7 of the Guyger's trial in the case that reignite conversations about police use of force, racial bias, and being safe in one's home. The defense has argued that Guyger, who is white, feared for her life when she entered the apartment of John, who was black, and saw the person she thought was an intruder. Well, I saw what he had on. I don't know too many intruders that are dressed like he is. No shoes on, just a pair of white socks, some shorts, and all right, I'm out. And some shorts, and that's how he came to her apartment. That just don't seem right. So, ladies and gentlemen, you can tell me how you think this verdict is going to come back. You know, I know we're not really the jury, but everybody has an opinion about this case. And I just feel that I just don't see how Guyger felt like she was in her right to kill somebody in their own apartment. But this is what she's sticking with. Shook, in his closing statement, called the case tragic and said who would not have sympathy for Botham Jean. But he also asked jurors to look at the evidence without emotion. The state, he said, must prove beyond a reasonable doubt that the defendant wasn't acting in self-defense. And if they can't do that, it's not guilty. Guyger was off duty but in uniform when she fatally shot John just before 10 p.m. after she had worked a 13-and-a-half-hour shift on the Dallas Police Department crime response team. She told investigators that she thought his apartment was hers and that he was a burglar. John had been watching television alone in his living room and eating a bowl of ice cream when she came in drawing her gun. He was shot in the chest. She was fired from the force with the weeks after the shooting. Okay, so they were saying she shot him in the chest, and the bullet high up on the wall was her attempting to do a headshot on him. That's how it was explained in court. Okay, so Fine asked jurors to put themselves in John's shoes and think about how Guyger chose to escalate the situation without taking a step back. He's eating ice cream on his couch, Fine said. So if you're sitting and eating ice cream, you get shot in the heart? Is that what you're saying? Yeah, so we know what happened. Throughout the trial, which opened a week ago, the prosecution framed Guyger's decision to shoot John, a 26-year-old accountant, as one that she alone had the opportunity to prevent. Prosecutors said she missed several sensory cues, that she had parked on the wrong floor of her complex parking garage and went to John's apartment, including when she missed a red doormat outside his unit that hers did not have, failed to notice the apartment number, and that her electronic key fob flashed red inside the door lock instead of green. Guyger said she was able to get inside John's apartment because the door pushed open. A Texas Ranger investigator testified last week. Well, we know that was Armstrong. Screw him. The defense called other residents of the apartment complex to testify that the layout of the building could be confusing and that they had mistakenly parked on the wrong floor and tried to enter an apartment that wasn't theirs. Yeah, but nobody ended up dead. So it's a big difference between what happened to them and what happened when Guyger entered the wrong apartment. Big difference. All right, so we know Guyger testified last Thursday, and she did very poorly under the cross-examination. Extremely poor. Okay, so the jury is 12 members and 4 alternates, 7 black members, 4 white members, 5 of other races or ethnicity. 12 members are women and 4 are men. If found guilty, Guyger faces a maximum of life in prison. Manslaughter, a second-degree felony, carries a sentence of 2 to 20 years behind bars. Well, let's hope she gets more than some damn 2 years, okay? That's definitely not the appropriate sentence for her. But ladies and gentlemen, you know, look, when the verdict comes in, I'm definitely going to do another hangout, you know, so we can go over that and discuss the case, and hopefully it won't be a bad outcome, because I really feel for Botham's family. They have been through hell. This has been a terrible year for them. These people definitely need some peace of mind that they're going to at least get some justice out of this shit. But please tell me what you think. Please leave your comment and subscribe. Don't forget to hit on the notification bell, and I'll see you on the next video. Peace, family.